Hey YouTube, Steel Ovan here. So recently I have bought a bunch of new knives. So I've been going through my collection and seeing what I want to get rid of. So I figured I would do a quick video here of some of the ones I'm going to get rid of most likely. Just so you can see and maybe why I'm looking at getting rid of them. So first up is these 2K strappers. They're great knives. I like the color and the jig bone and the size and everything. They just do not get carried. I find myself not carrying slip joints all that much recently, and so I'm thinning down the ones that I actually like and the ones that don't get carried. So those guys are going to move on probably. I'm also thinking about getting rid of this case copper lock. Once again, great size, it locks. I'm just not really carrying slip joints these days. And if I was going to, I would carry one of the ones that was gifted to me and has a little more sentimental value and whatnot. This one's just doesn't get carried. Another reason for getting rid of some of these is so I will actually carry the ones that I like more, instead of trying to, work these into the rotation or just having them sit around tying up money. You know what I mean? So here is this is a GEC 23. Super awesome blade, impeccable fit and finish. Cool bullet shield on there, and a little bit of patina forming on the blade. I like everything about this knife. I just wish it was a lot smaller. This is the size of a tactical folding knife, and it's a slip joint. Also, the spring on this is very hard, which is good for closing, but kind of requires some assistance to get it out, at least for my slippery hands. So I appreciate the design and the fit and finish of this knife, but it's just not something that I see a point in keeping around. I know there's a large market of people out there that will probably want that, so figured I'd move it on to them. Here is a ZT, hold the phone, 460 Ti. It's a Sienkiewicz design with this Persian upswept blade and 20 CV. Really cool little knife. I just find it a little bit boring maybe compared to some of the other knives that I have. I have a lot of ZTs, so I'm trying to thin down, cut back the ones that I like, slightly less than the others, so I'd have my very favorites. So this one's really cool aesthetically. It's nice and pleasing. I just also have a ZT 450, which is almost the exact same size and thickness and everything. It just has maybe a little more usable blade shape. I've also done some modifications to that one, so I feel like hanging on to that one over this one. This one is cool though, it's discontinued, so might be difficult to get in the near future. But this is one I'm most likely going to move on. Here's another ZT, the 452. I love this knife, super cool, great ergos, great action, great size. This one's got a cool deep carry clip on it. I just find this carbon fiber kind of boring. Not a super fan of the star pivot. I think that looks a little bit wacky. And like I said, I have too many ZTs, so this one's most likely going to get cut. Really cool blade though. I may consider doing a scale swap on it or making a scale for it instead, but we shall see. This is just where I'm at right now. I also might try to get my hands on one of the black wash versions of these. I think that would be really cool, or maybe the full tie one. But this one's just a little bit plain for me. Another one, Benchmade 940, it's Blade HQ exclusive in M4 and Jade G10 scales. I stole the thumb stud and the pocket clip screws and put them with satin ones on this. I put them on my bug out, which looks pretty sweet. And I actually like the contrast of the silver. It matches the the secondary bevel there. And the springs and stuff in there, so I think it works out. And also the logo. So I think it looks really good this way. The reason I'm getting rid of this, I love this blade so much, but I also have a 943 and a 940 in 20CV, the Knifeworks exclusive one in blue, and I just like those ones better than this. And once again, this one's collectible, excuse me, but I just don't really see the point in hanging on to this. Maybe I'll reconsider, but that's where I'm at right now. Don't see any point of having 3 of the same model when I could try other things. So here's a Browse Blades Turpin designed mid-tech. This is actually a really awesome knife. Browse Blades gets a bad rap, but I actually really enjoyed this one. The reason I got rid of there's like a bunch of like a big Browse blades across the clip in black lettering, which looked really dorky, so I polished the clip up nicely and kind of fixed the whole look of the knife. Great size and everything. I just may or may not have gotten an actual Turpin knife, so I don't see any point in hanging on to this mid-tech. I'm also not crazy. You'll see the stonewash there and how when they polished the blade, they got a little overzealous with their buffing, and it kind of rubbed up onto the stonewash there. See what I mean? So, not super crazy about that. Other than that, everything's awesome. Great centering, lockup, whatnot. And the price I paid for this was ridiculous, so can't complain about that. But that one's one I'm most likely going to move along. And one of the last ones I'm looking at getting rid of. I got this one very recently, along with several other Emersons. And this one was the most expensive of those because it was the po' boy conversion. So someone actually had to take the time to make these bolsters and cut down the scales and whatnot. And I'm just not as big of a fan of this one as the other Emersons that I have. Let's see if we get that to focus. There we go. Not super crazy about Tontos. This one's actually a really good Tonto. Tonto, whatever. But this is also the older model. It's got these flathead screws, which I'm not super fan of. Also, it's gotten a little bit beat up, and backspacer's kind of shoddy. It's also a pretty thick knife, which in certain situations I like a thick knife, but in this one I do not. I also feel like this bolster kind of holds your fingers back from kind of where they want to be, maybe. So it does feel really good in the hand, but I'm just debating about moving this one and keeping the other Emersons that I like better. It's also a little bit harder to get to the lock bar here, the liner lock, just because there's no cutout on the side. It's the same height both sides, so kind of got to get your fingernail in there and whatnot. Also, the scales stick out kind of far, which is why it's so thick, and it makes it a little bit difficult to get to the thumb stud. Not impossible, it's just... And another thing is, you can't really thumb flick it super easily without a ton of wrist. It's super smooth, don't get me wrong. Very well put together blade, but most likely I'm going to move this one to a new home, and then I can buy some other cool stuff. So, if you guys have any interest in these, they'll probably be up on Bladeforums. Don't ask me on YouTube, I'm probably not going to sell them on here. But just thought I'd show you guys what I'm getting rid of and why, and also sort of a data point for me, like what I've had in the collection so far, and my sort of thoughts on it. So I think that's all. Leave a comment if you think I'm making a horrible mistake and I should reconsider on any of these. And catch you guys in the next one. Bye.